12, 2024, News Report 1. The European Commission announced today that starting from July 1, it will impose temporary tariffs on electric cars produced in China. The European Commission named 3 Chinese electric car manufacturers and their respective tariff rates: BYD at 17.4%, Geely at 20%, and SAIC at 38.1%. Other Chinese electric car manufacturers that cooperated with the EU investigation will face a 21% tariff rate, while those that did not cooperate will face a 38% tariff. At the same time, foreign electric cars produced in China, such as Tesla, will also be subject to tariffs if exported to Europe. This move is a response to China's subsidies to electric car manufacturers, which weakens the competitiveness and interests of European electric car manufacturers. In May, U.S. President Biden announced a 100% tariff on Chinese electric cars, while the EU's maximum tariff rate this time is 38.1%, which has been opposed by Germany. The German government has stated that imposing tariffs on Chinese electric cars may lead to a trade war between China and Europe. In response to the EU's tariffs, a spokesperson for the Chinese Ministry of Commerce today expressed strong dissatisfaction, stating that the EU's tariff measures ignore facts and WTO rules. Although the temporary tariffs are not high, they have a significant impact on related industries. Dealers may be hesitant to take risks, and long-term cooperation may be affected. Therefore, although the tariff levels are not high, the damage is not negligible. News Report 2. Ohio Public Television in the United States reported on June 11 that David Zabner, a teacher at Cornell College, was interviewed in Jilin City, Jilin Province, China, describing in detail his experience of being attacked in Beishan Park. Cornell College has been cooperating with Beihua University in Jilin since 2018. Beihua University was established in 1999, formed by the merger of Jilin Normal University, Jilin Medical College, Jilin Forestry College, and Jilin Electrification Higher Vocational College. Zabner first visited Beihua University in 2019, and this is his second visit. On June 10, Zabner went to the Songhua River with 3 other teachers from Cornell College to watch the Dragon Boat Festival activities. However, due to the large number of people by the river, they couldn't see the water, so they went to Beishan Park nearby instead. Zabner described that as they were descending the mountain, they suddenly heard a scream. He turned around to see a man waving a knife and charging towards him. Zabner said that at the time, he didn't immediately realize what was happening and only saw blood flowing from his shoulder, realizing that he had been stabbed. The stab wound was 6 inches from his shoulder. Zabner said that 20 minutes after the stabbing, medical personnel arrived at the scene. The Chaoyang branch of the Jilin City Public Security Bureau issued a police report on June 11, stating that the suspect, Cui, 55 years old, from Longtan District, Jilin City, collided with foreigners while walking in Beishan Park, and then stabbed Zabner and 3 other foreigners who were with him. Another Chinese tourist was also stabbed. Regarding the explanation from the Chinese police, Chinese netizens expressed skepticism. An analysis online pointed out that it is unreasonable for a 55-year-old Chinese middle-aged man to commit such a violent crime because of a collision. Secondly, using a controlled knife for the crime and bringing a knife to the park is also unreasonable. Moreover, all 4 foreigners were stabbed, which also seems abnormal. Some netizens pointed out that if the incident was random, it reflects a security issue in Chinese society. If it was not a random event, it indicates a serious anti-Western, anti-foreign, and xenophobic sentiment in Chinese society. Chinese Digital Times compiled comments from Weibo and Twitter, with many netizens questioning the government's explanation: in the safest country, walking may lead to stabbing. News Report 3. The U.S. Department of Justice issued a statement stating that on June 11, the Eastern District of Pennsylvania Federal Court sentenced 43-year-old Chinese citizen Wang Zhenyu and 42-year-old resident of McKinney, Texas, Daniel Ryan, to 45 months in prison. They were accused of violating U.S. sanctions by selling Iranian oil to China, leading to their imprisonment. The Department of Justice's statement pointed out that Wang Zhenyu and Ryan, from July 2019 to February 2020, purchased Iranian oil through a shell company in Poland to conceal the origin of the oil, and then sold it to Chinese refineries. This behavior violated U.S. sanctions and led to their imprisonment. Ryan, 42, was responsible for contacting Iranian sellers. Wang Zhenyu, 43, was responsible for bribing Chinese officials and banks, and signing contracts with Chinese buyers. Both were convicted by a jury last November. This case demonstrates the increasing strength of the United States in cracking down on related behaviors of China. News Report 4. According to an investigation by the Philippine News, China is stirring up issues related to the island of Myanmar in the Philippines online, conducting organized information warfare, and spreading rumors that Philippine President Max will cause a civil war. Alvarez, an ally of former Philippine President Duterte and a congressman from North Davao Province, issued a statement in November last year proposing that Myanmar Island should separate from the Philippines considering Max's South China Sea policy. Myanmar Island is the political base of the Duterte family, so this has attracted widespread attention. From November 21 to November 30, 60 related posts appeared on China's online platforms, using Alvarez's remarks to spread rumors that a civil war was imminent in the Philippines. The Philippine News, in cooperation with the Taiwan Democratic Laboratory, tracked all online posts about Myanmar Island from November last year to February this year and found that most of the posts were published on China's Weibo, Baijiahao, and NetEase. These posts appear to be coordinated and organized, with a common argument that Max's policy of leaning towards the United States will lead Myanmar Island to consider breaking away from the Philippines, implying that signs of civil war have appeared on Myanmar Island. The Philippine News stated that under the influence of China's information warfare, 2 Philippine internet celebrities openly criticized Max, accusing him of exacerbating tension within the Philippines and between China and the Philippines. News Report 5. A Chinese man named Ruan Nian, a former naval captain of the People's Liberation Army, illegally crossed into Taiwan by driving a speedboat during the Dragon Boat Festival holiday, landing in Danshui, which has continued to be a focus of attention across the strait. Chen Binhua, spokesperson for the Taiwan Affairs Office, stated in a press conference on June 12 that the man's actions were individual acts, just like the incident where an American teacher was stabbed, which was also an individual act. He emphasized that the man would be punished upon returning to China and criticized the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, government for not being overly cautious and engaging in political manipulation. However, Taiwan's public and the international community generally believe this is a gray zone operation by China. Tsai Ming-yen, director of Taiwan's National Security Bureau, said in a media interview at the Legislative Yuan on June 12 that the man has a background in the PLA, and this incident is very unusual. There are currently many doubts that need to be clarified, and it cannot be ruled out that it is a gray zone operation by China against Taiwan. Minister of Defense Gu Liseng had already characterized this incident as a gray zone operation by China the day before and requested the Ministry of National Defense and the Coast Guard Administration of Taiwan to strengthen cooperation to maintain defense on the front line of the Taiwan Strait. Lin Yingyu, a professor at Tamkang University, believes that the timing of the Chinese illegal immigrants landing in Taiwan coincided with Gu Liseng's reiteration in the Legislative Yuan that the National Army can exercise its right to self-defense against PLA attacks. He pointed out that this is Taiwan's declared rules of engagement, and China sent one person to test the reaction of the National Army under the pretext of illegal immigration, which is a typical gray zone operation. Professor Chong Jiaying of the National University of Singapore also stated that the landing of the Chinese illegal immigrant in Taiwan was intentional, aiming to influence public opinion in Taiwan, highlight the defense shortcomings of the National Army, and make it appear unable to defend strategic locations. On the other hand, Liberty Times reported that the Hsinchu ship of the Taiwan Coast Guard Administration recently docked at the port of Honolulu, Hawaii, the first time since 2011. The Hsinchu ship departed from Taipei on May 29 to perform the first public sea fishery patrol mission of the year. The Coast Guard Administration stated that it conducts 2 to 3 public sea fishery patrol missions every year and resupplies in other countries according to the plan. In 2021, Taiwan and the United States signed a Memorandum of Understanding on Taiwan-U.S. Coast Guard cooperation, strengthening cooperation in areas such as fisheries and maritime rescue. However, the Coast Guard Administration emphasized that the departure of the Hsinchu ship this time was just to perform its mission and did not cooperate with the United States. News Report 6. On June 12, the Legislative Yuan's Procedure Committee decided to include the Parliament Reform Bill requested for reconsideration by the Executive Yuan in the Legislative Yuan's agenda on June 14 and will be handled in the committee next week. Legislative Yuan President Han Kuo-yu convened a consultation with the ruling and opposition parties on the morning of June 12. The Kuomintang, KMT, and the People First Party, PFP, have urged Han Kuo-yu to deal with this matter as soon as possible. According to the procedure, the Executive Yuan's reconsideration motion must be voted on by the Legislative Yuan. If more than half of the votes are in favor, the parliamentary reform bill can be overturned. There will be 3 more meetings of the Legislative Yuan before the end of the session, scheduled for June 18, June 21, and June 25, all of which may involve voting. Meanwhile, Taiwan President Lai Ching-te issued a mobilization order at the Democratic Progressive Party's Central Standing Committee meeting on June 12 to comprehensively promote grassroots preaching actions. Lai Ching-te emphasized that the purpose of grassroots preaching is to unite Taiwan, deepen democracy, defend the Constitution, respect the rule of law, and jointly safeguard Taiwan's democratic constitutional government. He stated that grassroots preaching should allow the public to understand the truth and correct information, rather than create political attacks and conflicts. Lai Ching-te believes that with the ruling of the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, for 8 years and the support of the government, grassroots preaching will be effective. The DPP has a moral high ground in maintaining the Constitution and can use public opinion to deal with the KMT, which will be very effective in influencing public opinion on this issue. News Report 7. On June 12, the Hong Kong government published in the Gazette that Secretary for Security John Lee, under the authority of Article 23 of the Basic Law, revoked the Special Administrative Region, SAR, passports of 6 wanted persons: Nathan Law, Sunny Chung, Jeffrey No, Wayne Chan, Owen Chow, and Ray Wong. These 6 individuals were previously wanted by the Hong Kong police, with a reward of 1 million Hong Kong dollars each, and are currently in exile, residing in the UK. The Gazette also stipulates that Hong Kong's citizens are prohibited from providing funds to these 6 individuals, conducting transactions with them, or establishing joint ventures or partnerships with them. In addition, Owen Chow and Ray Wong have been temporarily dismissed from their directorships, and Owen Chow's qualifications as a barrister have been temporarily suspended. John Lee stated that citizens should not subscribe to the Patreon or YouTube channels of these fugitives, or provide them with funds, otherwise they will face a maximum of 7 years imprisonment. This measure has aroused widespread attention and controversy. In response to the Hong Kong government's decision to cancel his passport, Jeffrey No stated that he has only ever had a British national, overseas, BNO, passport since he was a child, and has never applied for an SAR passport. Nathan Law stated that when he applied for asylum in the UK in 2020, he handed over his SAR passport to the British Home Office and did not retrieve it after his asylum application was successful, and has not used the SAR passport since 2021. In an interview with Deutsche Welle, Nathan Law stated that since leaving Hong Kong 4 years ago, the political situation in Hong Kong has changed rapidly, and the democratic movement has continued to be oppressed, so one cannot be blindly optimistic about Hong Kong. He emphasized the importance of maintaining hope in the darkest moments and waiting for the opportunity for change. The Hong Kong government's actions have sparked controversy in legal and human rights aspects. Many believe that revoking the passports is a violation of basic human rights, as the government has no right to cancel the identity or passport of Hong Kong residents, nor does it have the right to deprive others of the right to trade with these fugitives, as Hong Kong does not have laws to support these actions. News Report 8. Voice of America reported that Russia and Belarus began the second stage of tactical nuclear weapons exercises on June 11. Tactical nuclear weapons refer to small nuclear weapons used on the battlefield, mainly to prevent large-scale attacks by the enemy or to prevent rapid pursuit during retreat. The second stage of the exercise includes the use of tactical nuclear weapons in combat to maintain the readiness of the troops. The exercise of tactical nuclear weapons does not involve the actual deployment of nuclear weapons, but rather simulates strategic deployment and related exercises. These exercises typically include simulating the deployment and use procedures of tactical nuclear weapons, as well as assessing the troops' response capabilities and reaction speed. Nevertheless, the main purpose of the exercise is to demonstrate the deterrent power of nuclear weapons, rather than the actual use of nuclear weapons. At the end of April this year, Polish Foreign Minister Sijardo revealed that the United States had issued a clear warning to Russia: if Russia uses nuclear weapons on the Ukrainian battlefield, even if there are no casualties, the United States will use conventional weapons to eliminate all Russian troops inside Ukraine. This red line indicates the US's zero-tolerance attitude towards the use of nuclear weapons and emphasizes that even the use of tactical nuclear weapons will have serious consequences. This warning shows the US's serious attitude towards nuclear threats and aims to balance Russia's use of nuclear weapons through the deterrence of conventional weapons. The US's position is aimed at preventing the proliferation and use of nuclear weapons, maintaining international security and stability. News Report 9. Former coach of Beijing Goan Football Club, South Korean Lee Jang-soo, posted on Weibo on June 12 to defend his rights, accusing the Beijing Third Intermediate People's Court of forcibly auctioning his property due to debts of Beijing Goan Club and its parent company, Zhanghe Real Estate. Lee Jang-soo stated that he bought a house in Beijing during his tenure with coaching fees and savings, and has been living in it, paying utilities and property management fees. Due to the debt problems of Beijing Goan Club and Zhanghe Real Estate, the court decided to auction his house forcibly. He requested the Beijing High Court to investigate the matter and return his property to him. Netizens expressed confusion about this matter, suggesting that Beijing Goan Club and Zhanghe Real Estate may have used Lee Jang-soo's house as collateral for debts or wages. This has also sparked discussions about Lee Jang-soo's qualifications for buying a house in Beijing and his social security contributions. Lee Jang-soo served as the head coach of Beijing Goan Football Club from January 2007 to September 2009, leading the team in 63 matches, during which was the most successful period for the team. Zhanghe Group was established in 2005, headquartered in Beijing, and is a real estate company. In 2017, Zhanghe Group acquired 64% of the shares of Beijing Goan Football Club for 3.5 billion yuan, and in 2021, it acquired the remaining shares from CITIC Group. However, with the outbreak of the Chinese real estate crisis, Zhanghe Group also faced a debt crisis, with Beijing Goan Football Club indebted to 3.2 billion yuan and has been sued by multiple creditors. This incident has sparked widespread discussions about the financial issues of the club and the real estate company, highlighting the vulnerability of individual rights in commercial disputes.